Okay, we left off chapter 5. Kim Ki had just left to go and try and find a space in a new country, a new island that would be better suited for what is left of the Galasat tribe. So we're going to start reading at the beginning of chapter 6. After Kim Ki had been gone 1 moon, we began to watch for his return. Remember, 1 moon is a month because it goes through all the phases. Every day, someone went to the cliff to scan the sea. Even on stormy days we went, and on days when fog shrouded the island. During the day, there was always a watcher on the cliff, and each night as we sat around our fires, we wondered if the next sun would bring him home. And the next sun, the sun doesn't change, so that's every day how they tell the days. But the spring came and left, and the sea was empty. Kim Ki did not return. There were few storms that winter, and rain was light and ended early. This meant that we would need to be careful of water. In the old days, the spring sometimes ran low and no one worried, but now everything seemed to cause alarm. Many were afraid that we would die of thirst. There are other things more important to ponder, said Matasaip, who had taken Kim Ki's place. And I just want to touch back when they said we would die of thirst. They would drink with the rainwater. So when they said there were few rains, that means they didn't have enough water. All right, we are now going to be on the top of page 30. Continue reading. Matasaip meant the Alouettes, for it was now the time of year when they had come before. Watchers on the cliff began to look for the red sails, and a meeting was held to plan what to do if the Aleuts came. We lacked the men to keep them from landing or to save our lives if they attacked us, which we were certain they would. Plans were therefore made to flee as soon as their ship was sighted. Food and water were stored in canoes, and these were hidden on the rocks at the south end of the island. The cliffs were steep here and very high, but we wove a stout rope of bulk kelp and fastened it to rocks at the top of the cliff so that it hung to the water. As soon as the Aleut ship was sighted, we would all go to the cliff and let ourselves down, one at a time. We would then leave in our canoes for the island of Santa Catalina, where Kim Ki had tried to go. Although the entrance to the Coral Cove was too narrow for a ship to pass through safely at night, men were sent there to watch the cove from dusk to dawn, besides those who watched during the day. Shortly afterwards, on a night of fine moon, one of the men came running back to the village. Everyone was asleep, but his cries quickly awakened us. "The Aleuts!" he shouted. "The Aleuts!" It was news we expected. We had prepared for it, yet there was much fear in the village of Galasat. Matasaip strode from hut to hut, telling everyone to be calm and not to lose time packing things that would not be needed. I took my skirt of yucca fiber, however, for I had spent many days making it, and it was very pretty, and also my otter cape, so she was taking clothes. Quietly, we filed out of the village along the trail that led toward the place where our canoes were hidden. The moon was growing pale, and there was a faint light in the east, but a strong wind began to blow. We had gone no farther than half a league when we were overtaken by the man who had given the warning. He spoke to Matasaip, but we all gathered around to listen to him. "I went back to the cove after I gave the alarm," he said. "When I got there, I could see the ship clearly. It is beyond the rocks that guard the harbor. It is a smaller ship than the one which belonged to the Aleuts. The sails are white instead of red." "Could you see anyone?" Matasaip asked. "No." "It is not the same ship which was here last spring?" "No." Matasaip was silent, pondering the news. Then he told us to go on to where the canoes were and wait for him, for he was going back. It was light now, and we went quickly over the dunes to the edge of the cliff and stood there while the sun rose. The wind grew cold, but fearing that those on the ship would see the smoke, we did not start a fire. Though we had meal to cook for breakfast, instead we ate a small quantity of dried abalone, and afterwards my brother Ramo climbed over the cliff. No one had been down to the rocks since the canoes were hidden, so we did not know whether they were still safe or not. While he was gone, we saw a man running across the dunes. It was Nanko, carrying a message from Machasipe. He was sweating in spite of the cold, and he stood trying to catch his breath. We all waited, urging him to talk, but his face was happy, and we knew that he brought good news. "Speak," everyone said in a chorus. "I have been running for more than a league," he said. "I cannot talk." "You are talking," someone said. "Speak, Nanko, speak," cried many voices. Nanko was having fun with us. He threw out his chest and took a deep breath. He looked around at the circle of faces as if he did not understand why everyone was staring at him. "The ship," he said at last, saying the words slowly, "does not belong to our enemies, the Aleuts. They are white men on this ship, and they have come from that place where Kimki went when he left our island." "Has Kimki returned?" an old man broke in. "No, but it is he who saw the white men and told them to come here." "What do they look like?" Ulape asked. "Are there boys on the ship?" asked Ramo, who had come back with his mouth full of something. Everyone seemed to be talking at once. Nanko made his face stern, which was hard for him to do because his mouth had been cut in the battle with the Aleuts, and ever since it had always seemed to smile. He held up his hand for silence. "The ship has come for one reason," he said, "to take us away from Galisat." "To what place?" I asked. It was good news that the ship did not belong to the Aleuts. But where would the white men take us? "I do not know to what place," he said. "Kimki knows, and he has asked the white men to take us there." Saying no more, Nanko turned back and we followed him. We were fearful of where we were going, yet we were happy too. So now Kimki's not back, but they sent, and they called them white men because they were white males. Think about when they talked about the Russians and described them, if they do not know the tribe which they're coming from, like the Aleuts, or the country Russia, they just kind of generalized and called them that. So now they're expected to get on this little ship and head back and hope that Kimki's there. So yet this is another thing that the Galisat tribe has to think about. They can't survive much longer there, so they just have to trust that what's happening is really going to lead them to Kimki. So we're going to read chapter 7, and chapter 7 is where something pretty big happens, which is why we read that in our first one, and then we will stop that, and then that will be it for this week.